Welcome to the section 2 of our project communications management knowledge area. Alright, we're still in week 10 and module 10 of our project management professional training program. And in this section, we're going to be looking at how to manage communications. So let's move in. Now, a quick overview of what the managed communications process is all about. The managed communications process is the execution phase of the communications management plan. Now, of course, by now you already know the various phases we have in project management, right, which we call the project management process groups. We have the initiation phase, we have the planning phase, we have the execution, we have the monitoring and control, and of course we have the closing phase. Okay, so now these they come in different levels, different cadres, right? You have it at the project level, you can have this at phase levels, you can have it at process levels, and so on and so forth. Okay, so when it comes to this particular knowledge area we are talking about, which is the project communications management, we also have these different phases. Do you understand that now? Okay, so when it comes to managed communications, it falls within the execution phase of the communications management plan. Okay, so this is the time where you're going to have to start looking at what's going on and how to get them aligned to objectives. The managed communications involves the active coordination and distribution of project information according to plan. Okay, so here you're going to be actively involved, all right, in the coordination and distribution of the project information according to the plan. Remember, in the first section where we looked at the plan communication, the primary output we got from that process was the communications management plan. All right, so with that plan now, you're going to start, actively coordinating and distributing the necessary information to whoever needs them, wherever they are, and in what format that they need them. Now, the managed communications ensures that the right information is delivered to the right stakeholders at the right time. This is very important. The right information getting to the right stakeholders at the right time equal effective project execution. All right, so when everybody have the information that they require at the right time, then they can take the right actions when necessary. And that is what brings about successful project execution. So by the end of this section, you should be able to understand the objectives of managed communication, and then you'll also be able to identify the inputs, the tools and techniques, as well as the outputs of this process. Lastly, you understand how this process contributes to the overall success of your projects. Okay, so let's move on. Now, what are the objectives of the managed communications process? And the primary purpose or objective of this process is to implement the communications management plan by disseminating information, managing stakeholder expectations, and responding to issues as they arise. Okay, so the main document that is being used here is the communications management plan. Okay, And in this particular process, the managed communication process, what you're going to be doing as a project manager is simply, executing what you have in the communications management plan. All right, and that involves disseminating the information. All right, disseminating information regarding the project, and then managing the stakeholder expectations. All right, and of course, the issues that arise, when they arise, respond to them. Okay. Effective communication helps maintain stakeholder engagement and alignment with project goals. Okay, so information has to be effective, it has to be clear, it has to be coherent, and it has to be relevant to each stakeholder. So you don't want to take an information that is meant for another stakeholder and give it to another person. Okay, so that might bring about taking wrong action, which will adversely affect the project. All right, so you want to have all these things in perspective. All right, let's move on. So what are the inputs in managing communications? Firstly, you have the project management plan. Now, in the project management plan, you have the communications management plan. Okay, of course, by now you already know that the project management plan contains all the plans for your project. All right, all the plans: risk management plan, human resource management plan, quality management plan, cost management plan, scope management plan, all the plans for all the knowledge areas that you have in your project. Okay, but when it comes to communications, you also have the communications management plan, right, which is included in the project management plan. Okay, so the communications management plan provides guidance for executing communication activities. Right, so that is a basic input for this particular process. Project documents such as the stakeholder register and issue logs provide information relevant to communication. So as mentioned before, you have your stakeholder register, all right, a list of the individuals, the groups, professionals, experts, and what have you that are involved in your project, and to what extent they have involvement. All right, probably what roles they'll be playing and all that in your project, because that's also going to determine what sort of information that they're going to be requiring. Okay, and then of course issues log. All right, issues log is a document where you have a list of different issues that arise in your project. Okay, so it's part of the input you're going to be needing. And then of course you have your work performance data. This is information about project progress and performance. Okay, information about project progress and performance. So this you're going to be needing from time to time, because at each point in the project, a particular individual may require a different set of information. Okay, so you have to be on board, all right, with this particular input, work performance data. Then of course we have the enterprise environmental factors. These are external factors affecting communication during project execution, and of course this include industry standards, market factors, all right, regulatory standards, regulatory organizations, and all that. Factors that are external to the project organization, and which could also affect the project in one way or the other. So you have to have this in perspective, especially industry standards. Okay, most organizations and most industries, they have their standards for communicating. Okay, so that is something you have to have in perspective. All right, so lastly, you have the organizational process assets. These are internal assets like communication templates and historical information. Okay, so if you have templates for communicating within the performing organization, then of course you want to take advantage of this. And then also you want to look up the history of communication within the organization for various projects that have been executed in the past. Okay, so this might give you insight on how things are done within that organization, and that can help facilitate communication for you. All right, so let's look at the output. So what are the tools and techniques that are used for managing communications? Firstly, you have communication methods. These are various tools and platforms employed to transmit information. So we have various tools today that teams use for transmitting information. There are quite a lot of them. You have Slack, you have Team, you have Zoom, you have email, now you have WhatsApp, you have via phone call. You know, there are various options that are available. So like I said before, if the organization has a communications template, all right, for a particular technology that they use, fine, it's okay to adopt that. And then also you could look through the history of communication and then know which particular one to use. Information distribution tools. These are technologies and platforms used to disseminate project information. So for your project organization, you're gonna have such tools. So you have to find out which one that is being used, all right, and then be able to adopt that particular one. But more or less, there are several of them. So as a project manager, you could if there's no particular one that is specified for use within your project organization, then you're at liberty to use any one based on preferences or effectiveness. Performance reporting. This is regular reporting on project performance and status. This is very, very important. You have to constantly be reporting the performance of the project as it progresses. Stakeholder management. This ensuring that communication meets the needs of stakeholders. Now, like I mentioned before, you have your stakeholder register, all right, as an input in this process. Okay, so now having known the various stakeholders, you have to ensure that the communication that they are getting meets their needs, all right, and this helps for proper stakeholder engagement. Now, what are the outputs from this process? First, you have your project communication. All right, these are actual messages and information shared with stakeholders. So now you have the information going out, all right, the particular information required by each stakeholder going out to the person or the group that it is meant for. Then you have your project document updates. All right, of course, updates made to project documents based on communications outcomes. All right, so what are the key takeaways from managed communication? Effectively managing communications involves more than just transmitting information. All right, this is very important, so I'll take it again. Effectively managing communications involves more than just transmitting information. So it's not just about disseminating information, giving out information, sending information. No, it's more than that. It requires monitoring feedback. You have to get feedback. All right, when the individual receives the information, you have to get feedback. That feedback is going to determine whether the person understood what was communicated, all right, and is going to ensure that the right actions are going to be taken. Okay, so monitoring feedback, adapting to changing needs. Okay, because when an information goes out, within the time of the information dissemination and the feedback, there could be changes. All right, there could be changes which will require adaptation. So this is very, very important. All right, so also adapting to changing needs, and then ensuring that stakeholders are satisfied with the information they receive. All right, so with the feedback, you're not going to get to know whether they understood the information, whether it is right for them, and also whether they are satisfied with the information that they have received. Okay, now satisfaction will be determined by how relevant that information is and how useful it is to the particular stakeholder. Okay, it contributes significantly to project success by maintaining stakeholder engagement and support. Now, throughout your project life cycle, you want to have maximum stakeholder engagement, and the only way to have maximum stakeholder engagement is through proper communication. All right, probably not the only way, but the most important way to have maximum stakeholder engagement is proper communication, effective communication, timely communication, relevant communication. And of course, like we've already established, it's not just about transmitting information. You have to monitor the feedback. You have to expect a feedback. In fact, beyond that, demand a feedback, right? Because the feedback is necessary in helping you as the project manager get to know every other thing that the information that you've given out has been able to do, whether it has performed the work that it was supposed to perform, haven't been disseminated. Okay, so that brings us to the end of this section. I'll see you in the next section. Cheers.